let's uh let's talk the latest with the box office here today.
Box office battle.
Box office battles. We checked the latest projections. They put out the Sunday numbers for Fantastic Four's opening weekend, so we have an idea of what this film's going to do, and we can compare it to what Superman did, and you see Jurassic World as well. Yovic's funny. This is super Jurassic. This is what this whole month, all year, we was looking forward to this month, and it did not disappoint. Um, three different experiences for all three of these films. I think all three of these films delivered for their IP, for the genre. Let me just double check something real quick here. I guess my mic's good. I'm gonna trust. I'm gonna trust it because no one said anything, so I'm gonna trust it. My mic's good. Yeah, okay. I had to double check that, but like I said, all these films have delivered, and we'll kind of break down what this means for these three different IPs or three different, I guess, studios. Thanks, Jovic. Um, and what's really success, and we'll kind of sets the standard going forward. 500 million for Soups, 118 for Fantastic Four. Congrats to both. Definitely, this is all wins. Like it's amazing. You've seen the fights online. It's like, bro, like that's why I try to separate myself from all that this summer. So I'm like, man, I love the genre overall. Obviously, I want to see DC always win. But this is something for everyone. Superman wins domestic. That's for international. We'll see. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. But so first, Fantastic Four, projected for 118 million for its opening weekend. People will remember James Gunn's Superman did 125 a couple weeks ago. And what I am understanding too with a lot of these projections, it's really the forecast that I receive and the people that I talk to is more of the domestic side of it. Because international, as we see, is very unpredictable now for everything. Jurassic World's crushing it, but Superman did better domestically, or is on a better pace domestically than Jurassic World is. But internationally, like I said, Jurassic World is killing it. But the studios only get like a third of that money. So if you ask any studios, American based, with these films, you rather make more money domestically than internationally. But you'll take international because that looks good on the headlines, right? So we've talked about that a lot. See what dudes complaining, but then sitting front row. What is going on, bro? And that's why my platform, we want to stick to data. We want to stick to stuff that we enjoy. I mean, we're going to critique some stuff too, but I'm sorry, I can't. I got too much going on in my real life to be stuck in fandom wars with this. Did CBMs ever leave? Well, I mean, you saw what Captain America Brave New World did. Thunderbolts just earlier this year. Now, there's reasons for that. But this is more like a reminder. Because, I mean, Shannon's probably thinking more like the LL Cool J. Like, don't call it a comeback, right? I've been here for years. But it was some worries, especially with DC. The amount of pressure on this Superman film, this DC film, was unprecedented. It was the most talked about film I've covered, probably next to the Snyder Cut, in 5 years. But there was tremendous pressure on Superman to set some kind of standard. And then with Fantastic Four, it had to get close to Superman because if it did like Thunderbolts, Marvel would have really been in trouble. So like I said, and now it's like with the numbers out, people are like, oh, everything's good. It was a month ago, it was some nervous talk overall. So first off, Fantastic Four, like I said, 118 million. This is projected numbers. Sunday may get another million or two. All right. And actually, let's go to the numbers here. Let's see. Let's throw it up like this. Exactly. And that's the thing. The CDM genre, yeah, it hasn't gone anywhere. But Marvel, like I said, they've been kind of hit or miss, real spotty. They put a lot behind Fantastic Four, and they're getting the results. And like I said, and we'll talk more about Superman in just a moment as well. So, 118 domestic, again, that could end up being 120. But, just if we're just going to be, doing apples to apples here, DC beat Marvel. That's pretty interesting, in my opinion. Here's the breakdowns: Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, according to theater exhibitors and people that's talked about these films, they expect the Saturday to be a little bit higher for Fantastic Four. And once I pull up the Superman numbers, we'll kind of see maybe what happened Saturday. Superman may have kind of threw some shade at Fantastic Four at the box office. And we'll go through that. And again, Sunday, because normally, okay, blockbuster films, you get what they got, the Friday numbers, which is the preview numbers added into Friday, right? So 50 plus, 60 million, great. Saturday is usually high 30s. And then Sundays, or sometimes you can get 40s on Saturdays. And then Sundays, you want to hold or get, again, high 30s. This, just in a sense, this film, the diehards went to see it, as soon as possible, just like Superman. So front loaded, kind of leveled off Saturday, and then it kind of dipped down today. Now we'll see the official numbers tomorrow as far as what it did today. But this is just showing this film is, had a pretty good opening. But the problem is, I think Superman stole a little of his thunder. Why are we saying that? Let's jump over to Superman. Again, right now, as more international numbers are coming in, Superman's looking a little bit better at the box office every few days because they're getting those international numbers plugged in. In the meantime, domestic, is doing amazing. It's going to cross 300 million domestic, which is a standard for just any successful American-based film. You get past 300 million, you're celebrating. It passed 500 million, which was the number I was told it needed to break past. I said this last year because I was told this. I didn't guess this stuff. It's just like George Clooney in The Flash. I didn't guess that he would be in there, and I was told directly. So the same thing with the box office side. This was the numbers that they wanted to approach. They're easily passing the 500 million. International, when we talk about China, I think China gave it like 6 million or something like that, at least the opening. Fantastic Four only got 4 million for China's opening. So Fantastic Four is going to face the same international challenges that Superman did. And it may fall behind. We'll see how different markets go. But if I'm going to say right now where these numbers could settle, Superman, you're passing 300 by Wednesday? For sure, this week you're going to pass 300 million. 350 is a pretty good number for domestic where it will kind of settle down. So I'm putting it at 350. It could go north of that, but I'm going to say domestically, you're going to get 350 million. Internationally, probably 250 million. So yeah, this is a $600 million film with today's international climate. Great domestically. like I said, international. We just got to come to grips that you're not getting 300 million from China, at least in the near future. You're not. So that just is what it is. You got to win at home. Let's see here. Let's catch up with the comments here. Superman got punched in the mouth. Superman said, "My turn." Well, and I'm going to show you. Superman punched back. And this is again showing that this is a really good domestic film. If y'all could see Friday, Saturday, Sunday, first off, within the 50% range of holds leading up to this weekend. So this is, like I said, this is a definition of domestic legs, is what Superman is doing. The word of mouth, according to demographics, older crowds or over 35 crowds have showed out tremendously for Superman, and young kids. So you got, adults to older adults. That's the bros and boomers, as I always say. And then those grandparents is bringing their kids to watch Crypto. More young kids turned out opening weekend for Superman compared to Fantastic Four by just percentage points. But I'm just giving an idea of demographics. Older crowd Superman, more Gen Z or under 35 was Fantastic Four. So even though these were both CBM films, CBM genres, it actually was hitting different audiences. But where it overlaps at here, you have Friday, Superman did 7 million, respectfully. Then Saturday, it nearly jumps up to 10 million, eating that Fantastic Four's audience. We just saw it directly head to head, where you have return audiences, and again, word of mouth, or grandparents bringing the children to see Crypto. Saturday was a tremendous turnout for James Gunn's Superman. And so that's why I said it's submitting the 350 domestic number. Today is going to get around 8 million. Don't rule out 400 million domestic for Superman, but it's definitely on pace for 350, and it's holding really well in the face of Fantastic Four. Very, very impressive from box office terms. Let's see, I was told Superman wasn't going to break 400. Now it's up to 600. Yeah, it's definitely going to hit 600. I don't. And again, this is just going off of the trends that we're seeing. And that's why I said all that pressure with DC. And I know some people was going overboard and saying it's going to do less than Flash and stuff like that. That got kind of wild before the film came out. But like I said, all the projections held pretty well. And now, again, it's about the audience score, word of mouth. It's the same formula. A- cinema score, meaning overall positive audience experience, maybe one or two things here and there. And that's that first act. What's interesting, Fantastic Four had an A- as well, too. And I'm going to get to some of my critical sides of it. But Fantastic Four, some may have felt like in kind of towards the beginning and the middle that it lagged a little bit, Fantastic Four. And, that's why you don't get an A+ or an A. A-, you overall like the film, but just one or two things here, could have been better. Same thing with Superman. Like I said, overall, I like the film, Superman. But that first act was jarring. And on first watch, that's just what it is. But it's holding, again, to what it's doing. China, Asia, yeah. And the thing with that, it kind of doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, yeah, you want the money, but if you're only getting a third of that, like, well, I'm not going to break my neck to sell China my film if they're keeping most of the returns anyway. I mean, yeah, it will look great for my headline. China gave me 300 million for Superman. Then you're talking about you can get close to $1 billion film. But without that China bump, You trust the markets that's supporting it, like UK. And actually, we got the numbers here. Let's go, and we'll get back to Fantastic Four box office talk in just a moment. I'm sorry, spoiler talk for Fantastic Four. With Superman, what you're looking at here is UK, which has always been, a viable market, and that's grouped in with the Europe numbers. So only UK turned out, and they usually support American films. Germany and France went down, and they're doing the same thing again with Fantastic Four. But DC knows when they come out with a film, Mexico's going to show up, Brazil, and I don't think I have the numbers up here for Brazil, and other scattered places like you have Australia is doing well. So is in the future for DC, the best thing right now is understanding, okay, domestic, you're back with DC. You got the domestic ear. So Supergirl, they're going to be able to tailor-made Supergirl. And I think Supergirl is going to get more of the audience that Fantastic Four just got. So they got a chance really to tap in to the, that direct under 35-year-old audience. That's why I think Supergirl is going to do amazing. I really think it's going to do amazing overall. But you got the domestic ear, DC. Now it's about what markets internationally you kind of can play to. But you got to keep your budgets down. Hopefully they didn't spend too much on Supergirl. And just if it pops in UK, great. Australia, Brazil, Mexico, and then if other places want to join in, great. But you got to win at home first. That's been the mantra the whole time. So China, Asia, okay, if they don't want it, man, okay. I'm gonna sell to the people that want it. Yeah, you are petty, Jovic, but hey, let's keep it real, right? When Man of Steel was out, it was a better international market, and it made its money. Man of Steel definitely made his money. Now, James Gunn Superman is going to pass Man of Steel domestically. I know people like to jump to inflations, and I really don't want to have that conversation. A film that's only 10 years old. 20 years ago, we could talk about that. Batman Begins. If you adjust Batman Begins for inflation, that's what Superman's doing. It's practically the same number that it'll end up at. Or Superman may end up a little bit more, actually, adjusted for inflation towards Batman Begins. But the point, domestically, this is a win. And they're going to take their win. They're going to take their ball and go home with the win. So let's pull up the main one back up. I think Man of Steel did 291 domestically. So Superman, like I said, is going to pass that pretty much when you wake up tomorrow. So, and that's just all for the headlines. I think Man of Steel was actually a better Superman film. James Gunn Superman was more of a showcase of DC, which this is what I was told it was going to be for years as well too, or at least a year or two. Want to check out Superman for the third time? Definitely. I still haven't caught it in 3D. I've been to the theaters a couple of times already for it. And pretty good hold for this weekend, man. Like, credit where it's due in the box office. Yeah, those Saturday numbers was interesting. Where Superman, it was kind of going down, like 7 million, 6 million. Then it jumps up to like 10 million on Saturday, showing, those older crowds, they came back with the grandkids, and it was like, let's watch crypto. And so, I mean, and it affected Man of Steel's numbers. I mean, I'm sorry, Man of Steel. Fantastic Four's numbers was affected directly by Superman. That was interesting. And so going forward, Superman will still have a hold. And then I think Fantastic Four will still, like I said, make similar money. Kevin says, my only concern with Supergirl, you got Toy Story 5, Minions, Moana live action will eat into the film. First, it's way too early, first off, for projections. And it's not really the same audience that those films. And also, too, people said so much of what was going to eat up Superman. People thought Smurfs was going to eat the Superman. Like that was like, so I'm not taking anyone's year in advance projections like, oh, well, Toy Story's coming out and Minions and Moana. And in fact, what's the release dates of all those films? If we're going to be worried, because like I said, we just had a case study on how this stuff works now with these other films. You got what? Toy Story 5, middle of June. Supergirl comes out when? Supergirl. End of June. I don't see the Toy Story audience affecting the DC film. I just don't. What we say? Minions. What is that? Minions 3. When does that come out? July 1st. Supergirl, like I said, is going to get the under 35 audience. And I think Gen Z is going to kick in for Supergirl as well, too. Minions is going to do what it's going to do. Toy Story is going to do what it's going to do. And Moana's year is going to be huge. I think Moana is going to be a huge film. When does that come out? The live action Moana. I mean, you literally have The Rock in the film. Let's see. 2026. July 10th. That's not going to affect Supergirl. I got to disagree on that one. I mean, I heard so much people saying, "Oh, well, a year from now, Superman's going to do this," or they're not. I heard they weren't going to make the film, and I'm hearing from direct sources like, "No," because I put out a video beginning of last year. I was like, "Oh, with these strikes and stuff, could they shelve James Gunn's Superman?" And I had sources reach out to me like immediately. They said, "No, they're going to shoot Superman, and they're going to greenlight like 4 or 5 other projects, DC projects." And I put that video out beginning of last year. And then what happened since then? The Lanterns, Supergirl got shot. We already knew Peacemaker. You're hearing stuff about Booster Gold now. That was one project I heard they were going to move forward. Then they changed, showrunners and stuff. But they was like, no, this universe is going to get out there. Now we'll see the results. But the narrative, they're not even going to make the film. People said it's going to be a tax write-off. My sources shot all that stuff down last year. And so I'm going to just lean towards my sources instead of just people guessing. What else funny about Juro? Let's see. I'm still holding out on Smurfs. Smurfs is not even a conversation. So I'm not even going to bring up their numbers. But that Smurf game, they disappeared pretty quick. And then people went as far as they were going to say, I know what you did last summer was going to eat up Superman's box office. It's like, come on, y'all. Like, y'all just throwing stuff out there now. I'm gonna stick to the data. If it was looking the opposite direction, that's what I would report. All those guesses was just guesses. And I get it. Again, we got Jovic in the chat. I get it. I tried to give people an out before all this started with the rollout of the film. I say, hey, just get it out of your system. I hate James Gunn. And Warner Brothers in that too. Yeah. Because that's all it comes down to. It's not about proper forecasting, box office, and numbers. It's just you wanted it to fail. I get it. You wanted it to fail. I just talk about what is, not what it might be. This is just what the numbers have been telling me the whole time, and that's what it's doing. So let's catch up with the chat here. I couldn't believe the Smurf. The Smurfs gang got real quiet, and then I saw like one idiot was like, "Oh, I know what you did last summer is gonna do something." I'm like, hey, when it comes to box office, some people just got to stay on the sideline You know what I'm saying? Just don't even talk about box office no more. I just sat back and just saw how people I just sat back and saw how people was gonna talk about box office. Oh, okay. I'm gonna trust my sourcing before any of y'all. Let's see here. Can it hit 700 million? 700 million, that's going to be a tough stretch because I mean, it means you have to go north of 400 million domestically because I think international is going to, definitely come to a halt, right? So that's why I put it at like 250 for international. Let's see, I guess we'll upload up a little bit. I put 250 at international, after these last returns. So domestically, I mean, if it hits 400 plus, but I don't think it will. I think it's a $600 million film. I said 700 before the film opened because it had all the makings of a $700 million film, but I was just counting on international, to do what it normally does. And it's a new climate now, right? But all the forecasts for domestic, all of it hit. And on top of that, those same forecasts were saying that Fantastic Four was tracking behind Superman. The entire month I said that every show. And we see the opening is behind Superman. So yeah, I'm gonna trust the data, folks. And the thing is, we got Gabby hoping Superman gets 700 million by his run, and that would be great. That'll be a nice feather in the cap. But I'm telling you right now, after opening weekend, you saw Zazzle do the victory lap. That wasn't just performative. They were very happy. They had the numbers. They said, this is tracking really well. This is a win. And when you're talking the Batman Begins template, right? Winning the trust back of the audience. After DC 2023, announcing a reboot, then you put out Shazam 2, The Flash, Blue Beetle, Aquaman 2. That was a total fumble of a year. Flash flopped tremendously. And I like the Flash film, but they didn't even finish the film. Like they didn't do that film any. And I know you had the Ezra Miller stuff going on, but they didn't do that film any favors. But like I said, I still rewatch the Flash at least once a month. I still rewatch it. I like the Michael Keaton stuff and things like that. But you lost the trust of the audience that year. Even before that year. But winning back the trust, that's what this film was all about. And you got it. You got the Batman Begins template. 600 million is what it's looking like. If it gets 700, I mean, that'd be great. They'd do another lab. Okay, well. Now, when you get to you got the digital release in a month. So you still got another month for this film to play in theaters. It still will hold, for another couple weeks. Then that digital money counts as well too. So this film is a profit. Superman is a profit. But the headlines, yeah. It's all about the headlines. Let's see who's winning the RT score battle. Is it Fantastic Four? It's pretty similar. Yeah, the Rotten Tomatoes audience score, everything is pretty similar. Actually, I think the critics like Fantastic Four. If you judge them by Rotten Tomatoes, I really don't care about the critic side of it, but the critics is giving more positive scores to Fantastic Four. Yes, audience is similar. Momoa's going to be a huge selling point. Yeah, Supergirl's going to be huge. I think this is how I felt the whole time. If Superman is a $600 million film, Supergirl would do at least 700. I think it will. Interesting. So interesting stuff there. Like I said, with those numbers, that's what it did. Now, one thing too, just to again compare the domestic run of this Superman film, because I still don't think people are understanding how great of a hold this film is, or how great it's doing domestically. We're worried about Asia and China, and I get it. What's the number now? About 290. domestic. If you go to Jurassic World, this Jurassic World Rebirth, right? This came out, what, 9 days domestically before Superman? Superman's about to pass Jurassic World Rebirth domestically, I say about Wednesday or Thursday. All right. Now I'm saying this again, I'm trying to get people to see again. Jurassic World had like a 9-day head start, and Superman is about to pass it domestically. That's the definition of legs, domestic. And Jurassic World Rebirth, this is a win for the Jurassic franchise. You're going to get your ScarJo trilogy because domestically you outright made your budget back, your production budget. You got a third of that international money with 416 internationally. It looks great. How much are they really going to get from that? Like 100 million, 1.2 or something like that. Or 100, we'll take 100 million. Yeah, I'll take it. But you got to win domestic first. This is why you're getting the continuation of this Rebirth story. Not because of international, because domestically you got 300 million. That's a win. Now, if Superman's about to lap this after you gave it a 9-day head start, that's a win for Superman as well, too. All right? So interesting stuff there. We talked Superman. And let me throw another example up here for box office sakes. Because someone was trying to mess with me about F1. Like, F1 made more than Superman. First off, to that idiot that said that, F1 came out June 27th. Okay, so you got what? A 2-week head start on Superman? And Superman is going to double F1's domestic total, and it's going to beat its overall total by tomorrow as well, too. Because a lot of people say, oh, F1 for the win. They're going to eventually make money back from it. But you put it in context. If you think F1's a win, you must really like what Superman's doing, right? So that's the point. We're just trying to stick to the facts of that. All right. Interesting. Let's catch up with the chat here because we're going to get to fantastic spoiler talk.